So just a quick recap. Last week we covered lists. I showed you how to work with lists. Oh, sorry, it wasn't last week. Like almost 2 weeks ago. Like I showed you how to work with lists. I showed you how to, showed you index, show you elements in the list using negative index, positive index, and I explained slicing, to a begin, end, step. I give an example, give examples, and I also used range at a point, and I explained that you could actually use range to capture maybe columns in data. I gave you an example like that. I think we also did, let me go back to this. We covered, okay, we covered tuple also. Upcoming, let's go back to the list. Yeah, I give an example of this, the list, and we added some elements to existing lists. We did that. We looped through and we're able to get some details, which I showed you. And I also explained how to sort by, ascending, descending. I didn't cover the array. I said it's not necessary now. Then I moved to tuple. I explained tuple, how you can convert, edit wherever you have in tuple by converting it to list, then do whatever editing, appending, deleting, then convert it back to tuple. I explained that last week, 2 weeks ago in our last class. And I also went further to explain dictionary. I gave an example of dictionary where I explained key and value, and then we used dot items to read the dictionary, and I showed you how to get some details from the dictionary. Please go back to the video on YouTube. If you have not subscribed to that YouTube, subscribe so that you can get notified. And so that will be very, very helpful. And so I think I also explained I loaded data from UK data, no header, and I listed all the columns. I said from KV in df.items, then I listed all the columns, and I said F columns is, and I passed in the key. And I explained to you that you can actually use this one to grab all the columns in your data. I explained that path. Yes, I explained that part. Then also, I also explained how to pass in. Okay, I've not reached that level. I think we're going to be doing that today. Here, we'll be passing in values to a dictionary. So, like I said, you're familiar with key and value. So you can create a dictionary, add a value to a dictionary by giving the specific key, and you put the value in front of it. And when you run that, you will get, I think something is missing somewhere. Give me 1 second. Okay. Oh, I think we haven't done. Okay, so that's fine. Let's go back here. That's good. Let's start this. So, in this case, we have an existing dictionary. We have an existing dictionary called this. We call it this. And this, you are familiar with dictionary now, so it shouldn't be a problem. Key and value, key and value. And I showed you how it's applicable to Excel CSV file, which I uploaded here, and I showed you key, columns, and the values are the values that you have in the data. Okay, so let's go on. So here we have a dictionary. Hello?
I can't hear anything.
Oh, you can't hear me?
I can hear you.
You can hear.
Please check your system very well,
Can you
please.
hear me,
Okay,
please?
okay, I can hear now. I thought no one
You
was
can hear.
speaking.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay, yeah, that's fine. Okay, so let's go on. So let's say, for example, we have tell let's say SOM, I'm going to name this. This is just a variable name. Please don't forget, it's just any name. SOM data 19. Now, if I run this now, this
Is anybody talking right now?
please, can you restart your system? I think others can hear me clearly.
The class is going.
Hello? Is anyone talking?
Yes.
Okay, good.
So, okay, anyway. Yeah, please check your system very well. I think maybe that might be an issue with your computer. You can restart it
I
and...
can't hear the tutor, but I can hear other people talking.
Oh. Can you all hear me, please?
I think the
We can hear you. I beg, restart your system.
Restart your system, please. Others can hear me.
We can hear you clearly.
Yeah.
Okay, let me turn it off and turn it back on.
Okay, that's good. Thank you. Okay, so we've got key and value, like I said. And now we want to pass in another key. In this case, this is the key. I want to pass in another value, but we have to specify the key. It's just like we are creating, in this case, it's like we're creating a new column and we are passing in a new value. Does that make sense? It's like you have seconds. You have your CSV here. You have your CSV here. Let's say this is so let's say this is sorry, 1 second. So let's say this is let me open an example. That will make sense and that will be clear. Okay, let me close this one. So for key, so what we're doing here is we are saying this is a data frame, and we've already named this one as Jack, right? This is Jack, this is Sarah, and this is Ola. No, this is Sarah. So we say for the value under, these are columns, Jack and Sarah. So let's call them columns. Let me highlight them. Control B. Okay. So the value here is 4098. For Sarah, the value is 4139. So in this case, we want to now add another value. We want to add another value under a different key, and we call the key Ola. So if I run this one now, okay, say this is not defined because the reason was because I changed the name. So if I run this one now, can you see it's done? So it means that I'm adding Ola to this as a key, and I'm passing in 4100 as a value. So that's how it's applicable when it comes to CSV. So if you are reading the data, remember we're reading from CSV here, from key and value. Where is it again? Where I showed no header. So in this case, we can intentionally pass in another key and, create another columns called maybe new people or whatever, or unidentified people, then passing values there. So you can do it, automatically. So is that clear? So with the explanation I've given, I think you should find it more easier to understand key and value based on how I explained using Excel. Key and value, how you're passing it. So now we have created this. Okay. Okay, good. Now we have now we've passed that. So let's run this. Let's see. We have oops. Okay. So it's SOM because I've changed the name. SOM data 19. Okay. So let's run it now. Can you see Ola is passed just like I showed you here? Ola 4100. So if we get this one in PD and CSV file to be in this format. So now if we want to delete Sarah, Sarah is here. If we delete Sarah, let's say we want to delete Sarah now. Oh, sorry. So change the name. I think I have to revert back to that. Okay, let me stick to the name that we've changed already, updated. So SOM data, I want to delete Sarah. That means I want to delete this column. That's the meaning. Delete Sarah. If I delete SOM data 19, million. So if I delete that, if you check this again now, you see it's gone. So SOM underscore data 19. Let's run it. Can you see it's gone? The meaning is that you have gone to this particular column and you have deleted this column. Is that clear? Any question?
It means it doesn't delete from Excel then. It only deletes from SQL.
You know what I'm trying to explain to you is that let's assume that you are reading data from Excel file, which I've already explained. I showed you an example last week. If you go back to that video, you see I uploaded a file, right? And I said key and value.items. So it's applicable to this. Does that make sense? Is that clear now?
Yes.
Now it's applicable. It's just like you are saying the same Excel file, key and value. So we know the key, and this is the value. This is the value for Jack. The key, Ola, value 4,100. Here, let's say we're passing in Sarah before we deleted. Let me do undo. Do undo. Okay, Sarah is here now. So key here and value, Sarah is there. So it's applicable like when you are dealing with Excel. I've shown you an example of Excel. Key, value, key, value. So I use this Excel. So this same Excel. Let's say I want to delete this particular column from that Excel now. I'm going to be using this del. And that will delete this. Let's say, for example, I want to apply del to this, and that will delete this column. Is that clear?
Yeah, good. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Okay, that's good. And I'm happy that you got that. Okay. So that's the meaning. That's how it's applicable. So that was why I explained this key and value, so that then I now explain in this format so that you understand how it's applicable. Then how do you fit this in when it comes to data? So when you do del, this, you delete this particular column. Yeah, so that's just that. And
Hello, sir. The person you said to restart said he's shut out. Ayola.
oh, okay, let me admit. Okay, that's good. So apologies about that. Okay. Yeah, so I've added 2 people that I saw yeah, in the lobby. Okay. Any question at all before we move on? Okay, so let's go on. Let me close this. Now.
Hello,
Now,
sir.
hello.
Yes, sir. I want to ask, does this mean that if we are working with data, assuming the way you deleted that Sarah, that column will automatically be deleted?
Yes.
Okay.
That will be automatically be deleted. That will
Okay.
automatically be deleted. Let me see if I have a sample data here. Let me see an example. Maybe this data will make sense. Okay, this is a sample data. Copy. Okay, so let's say, for example, we have 1 second. Okay, we are here, right? Okay. Let me do an example here. let's see, we have df equals to pd dots, read CSV, okay, and our CSV part is here, this, okay, oops, okay, because we have not okay, okay, import pandas as PD. So let's say, for example, we have import, because we didn't run the code from the top, import pandas as PD. So this is a panda, this is a library that you use for data transformation. I think I've shown you before. So if you run this one, it's going to go through. And if I do for K, don't forget value in df.items, right? Then we can print this. So we can print key, right? Okay, let's say df.items. Okay, so we can do dl df key. Okay, so okay, I'm just going to do df, okay. Okay, so before that, okay, print f. Okay, so let's say, for example, we have these are the keys. So I will copy this one and I will pass this under here, and I will do print new columns is key. New columns are okay. New column. Okay, new column is okay. Just keep it. Let's keep it that way. I will explain this. I want to answer your question, and that was why I created that. So let's say, for example, we have our data frame df here. So we've done this, and let's check our data frame. Can you see our data frame, right? Can you see long, last, and we can even check using df.columns. If you use df.columns, okay, so I'm coming. So there is a mistake there. Did I do a mistake? Oops. For I in df.columns. Okay, okay. I. Okay. Sorry, I think there's a mistake here with my columns. Okay. Don't worry. I got that now. Okay. So let's keep this one this way. Okay. We don't need to disturb ourselves. Let's just do for K and V, like in the f.items. Items. Okay. So let's print K. If we print K here, can you see longitude, latitude, right? Everything listed there. What if we want to delete one of the K's? So if, let's say if K, okay, if, let's say longitude, right, in K, right, delete K. So let's see. Okay, longitude in K. Okay, if, because we didn't pass this in, okay. Can you see? Okay, so let me comment this out. Remember that we've already listed the actual data frame here. Don't forget, long is here, right? Now let me run this again. Do you have long there again? Can you see long again?
No,
No,
Why?
it's
Why
not
is it
there.
that it's gone?
you've deleted it.
Because I've deleted it. I mentioned it. I said if longitude in key, that's in the column, which is the key, passing the key, then delete it, is gone. Does that make sense now?
Okay. Yes, sir.
Brilliant. So is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Now, can you see how it's applicable to what we did when I was just creating dictionary only and I did delete key?
Yes.
Okay, good. So let's go on. So I want to make sure that it's practical enough so that you understand how we are using this to, play around data when it comes to CSV, Excel, and the rest. But in this case, we're using CSV. So now let's continue. So I've covered that. So now, let's say, for example, we want to capture some information from our dictionary. Let's say values. Let's see values. Someone is raising up his hand. Olumide Fatogun.
Okay, sorry, can we please have a copy of the CSVs that you're using so that we can practice with same to and see similar results, please?
Yeah, I'll forward that to you. I haven't sent that to you. Okay, so I will do that. I will upload it somewhere. Then I will share with you that you can download from there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So is it on the web? Is it on the on Google? Can we download it on Google?
Yeah, I will send it through Google Drive. Then you get it from Google Drive.
Like, is it an open source document that we can get to ourselves? Because
No.
I'm not on the laptop. I'm on a tablet.
Don't worry. I will share the link with the on the WhatsApp group. You will get it there.
Okay, thank
you. You're welcome. 1 second. Let me start uploading now. So that
Sir, somebody still wants to come in. Iyanu.
Iyanu, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I've added Iyanu. It's only Damilola Olugbemi that I have here. I think I've added Iyanu Ogunjobi. So Iyanu is fine. It's there now. Okay. So I'm going to share that link with you in 1 second. Okay, let's continue. I can share that with you after the class. Now that you're familiar with what we've covered so far, please, I added this in between, but just for you to understand how we're dealing with this when it comes to CSV file and how to, we actually had coded one here. So trying to relate them together so that you understand what we are actually doing. Now, seconds. Now, can you see? When I listed this, I didn't show you the data frame again. Remember, the data frame, long is gone, latitude is showing. Here, what did we show? We showed it in the beginning. Why I created that, you saw longitude, right? But now after deleting, I ran the data frame. What did you see? You can only see latitude, RC media, so it's been deleted. Is that clear now? So that's how you delete. You can delete columns.
Can we undo as well? So if you delete something mistakenly and you want to undo it and take it back to the original format, can we do that as well?
Yeah, sorry about that. It's gone. The
Sorry?
only way you could do that is to get a copy of this, keep a copy of the existing document, right?
Yeah.
Let's say, for example, now I have this one. I can keep a copy by doing df_copy, right? And do equals to df.copy. So you can keep that. Does that make sense?
When you delete it, that's it. You can't undo it, yeah?
You can't undo it. So in order to prevent that, I've created a copy that I can refer back to in case I need.
Okay.
Cheers. Thank you.
You're welcome. Now, any question again? Okay, let's go on. So we have our list, but in our case we used, so I'm just trying to not to confuse things together. So we we change this one to SOM_data 19. Then if I go back here, because this should be SOM_data 19, if I pass this one in a new list, and I can grab Ola from there. And the meaning here is that I am passing it, I'm grabbing the keys that we have here, right? Let's see. Can you see? Remember Jack and Ola, we deleted Sarah here. Remember when we were trying deleted Sarah. So we're left with what? Jack and Ola. So in this case, we want to grab only keys. So you can grab keys even from your dictionary by converting it to list. So you can convert your dictionary to list and you grab all the keys. So in the case of, how to deal with this, you can, let's say, for example, our data frame. Let me pass in. Can you see? Remember, I'm using real data now, where we deleted long. So I'm passing in the data frame, the dictionary, the data frame itself, and I'm grabbing all the columns. So this is creating a list. So you can use this one to grab all the, columns in your data. And if you want to add additional columns, you can play around it by grabbing the name and passing it values. So now in this case, undo inserts, and so SOM19, we're playing with SOM19, and we said we have Jack and Ola, right? Now, so Jack and Ola, so let's say, for example, I want to, so that one is done. Let's say I want to create another dictionary. Let's say this one is, what should I call it? I think I don't actually need to explain this further because you already understand, it's clear that you understand key and value. So let's forget about that one. But in the case you want to create a dictionary manually, just do pass dictionary, pass in the key, value, key, and value. So if we run this one now, it will create this, and you have the key and what? The value there. Does that make sense?
So what did we just create now? Is it a dictionary or a list?
Sorry? We
What-
created a dictionary.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we created a dictionary.
Sir, can you run this over again?
I should run it over again.
Yes, this one you just did.
Oh, okay. You remember the key? I explained this one. This is key, value, key,
Yes.
value, key, value. So we created this manually, as in like, should I say, add coding. We are add coding it. They call it add code. So we want to create a dictionary. So we pass in dict. You remember lists? Remember tuple, list, and some other stuff. So this is a function, dict. Remember how we pass dictionary to a list? Pass dictionary to this list function, and it converted it to, for us to get all the keys. The same thing here, we are creating a dictionary, we are passing in key and value, and we are creating a dictionary, and that's what we have here. So, and you see, tell Oduro, if I run this one now, keys, you see all the keys, right? If I want to check the values, can you see all the values? Values that we have here, 1480, 2221, 1910, and can you see? Is that, do you understand clearly now?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Just another question, please. the equal sign that you put in between the key and the values, is that what made it functional?
Oh, which one? This one, right?
No, the equal values, the equality operation that you did here.
Yeah.
Yeah, is that what made it functional as a dictionary?
Exactly, yeah. This one is standing as key and is equal to, this is the value, key
Yeah.
equals to value, then you pass in dictionary.
So it must be equal to and not a column in
It-
between them.
That's a very good question. I love that. You remember, here we are converting to dictionary. In the case of the dictionary itself, we created it this way.
Yeah.
So we are trying to create this one instead of, okay, let me show you again. You know what we're trying to create here is that we're trying to say, instead of us creating it like this, that, oh, this is a dictionary, right? That you're familiar with.
Mhm.
So I'm now trying to create a dictionary that this is another way to create it this way instead of following this step. So if you run this one, it will create this.
Okay. So this is standard procedure.
Exactly, exactly. So when you see this format, this is a dictionary.
Yeah.
The reason why I have this is that in some cases you might have a list and you want to pass in data inside that list and create a dictionary. So you can do that. It depends on the data transformation you're dealing with. And you have to, that will determine the approach you have to follow, use rather.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so let's go back. Okay, so now we've got that. We understand how to grab the keys, the values, and we find, and we can sort. We can sort here, passing, data, sort, grab, sort by, the name, David, Jamie, Oduro. Those are the names, keys that we passed in. So we can sort them by column, by ascending order or descending order. We can say reverse equals to true here. If we pass that, it's going to change from the last based on alphabet Z to AA to Z. So if we do that, Oduro will be first. Then because we're doing reverse equals to true. Jamie is the second and David is the last. So if we turn this one to, if we turn this one to false, we'll be having this. Any questions so far?
Can you remind us of how to identify list, dictionary, and no, I know one is parentheses, one is square brackets, one is curly brackets. Because I think some people are not identifying the differences.
They should go back to the previous video and they should go and watch it. It's not, the reason why we uploaded those videos is for you to go back, to refresh wherever we've covered. It won't be okay if I go back again. You understand? That would delay the class and we don't have much time. Please, I will advise, please go to the video online where I covered list, tuple, or other videos that we've uploaded in the past. You will understand clearly and get some other resources online. I think that should be okay, and it will speed up your learning also.
Anyway, what I'm saying is the square bracket is for list, isn't it? Square bracket is list, shows that this is a list.
Yes.
So when you're working with dictionaries and when you the result comes out, I'm noticing that some of them it's coming out with square brackets. So I'm not understanding why the Google Colab is bringing it out like that.
I didn't get that question. Okay, you know what? I will send. I think I will send. There should be do some research online. That will help you.
Okay.
Yeah, please. Do you know what? If you struggle with a code and you figure it out yourself, you understand it permanently. You understand?
All right.
Yeah. Please, I discovered that's the best way to learn. Apart from this class. So wherever I cover here, please, as much as possible, if you don't understand it, just go online, search very well. You will get some information. You will struggle, but when you figure it out, it's permanent, and you can, you won't have any cost to, you just focus on other things.
All right.
Please try and maybe check some materials online. I'll go back to our previous videos. That will be helpful.
Okay.
Yes. And I think, let me see if I've covered. Okay, set. Let's go to sets because I've covered this already, so we don't need to bother ourselves about that. Data frame, this and this, dot columns. That's fine. Okay, so we have a list. Oh yes, sets. So we are back to sets now. So for our sets, we have how will I explain now? We have sets. Set is similar to, it looks like a list, but in terms of the square bracket is different, right? So we have curly braces for sets. So whenever you see sets, you see this around it. Can you see? It looks similar to dictionary, but it's different because in dictionary you have key and value, key and value. So in dictionary, in set, you have this. In dictionary, you have this K and V. Can you see the difference? So set is similar to list. So if you see, and what set does is that it helps you to drop duplicates. Let's say, for example, you have duplicates in your data. Let's say in a list. Let's say we have a list and we have a duplicates. So you can use set to drop all the duplicates that you have. Let's say, for example, do you have avocado orange repeated here 2 times? Do we have apple orange repeated? Can you see orange is repeated how many times here? I think it's 2. If we run this one now and we show it, we have this. And if you convert it to sets, you pass in the set function, pass in that name, list Uduro to this function sets, and let's check set Uduro. If we check that and we run this, you will see it's gone down. 1, 2. So orange has been deleted because the duplicate for orange has been deleted, and any other duplicate that we have there they've all been deleted. So, and that is what set does. So it helps you to drop all duplicates in your data. It will go through it and drop all duplicates. Does that make sense?
So would that
Yes.
mean that when you've got like a data set and you're looking for duplicates, you should use, like, say you're cleaning the data and you want to take out the duplicates, you could use set to do that, yeah? Would that be advisable?
That is a very good question. I think I love that question. If you look at our previous example, the example I gave you under list, let's check under dictionary. Where did I use list at a point? Remember when I used list, what happened? When I pass in this SOM data, the dictionary, we grab only the keys, right? The 2 keys. So let's say, for example, to answer that question you asked, let's say we have in our data sets and we have duplicate values. This cannot deal with duplicate values. It can only deal with duplicate columns. Am I making sense now?
I kind of lost you there. Sorry, please.
That would deal with only duplicate columns. It will eliminate any other duplicate columns. Let's say in our data sets, let's say, for example, we have LA code repeated twice, right? Does that make sense? Middle age repeated in our, middle age repeated here. with set, you can use that one to drop. You know
I
they are
get
the same, right?
Yeah,
Are
I
you
get
guys?
you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because it's key,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
So it's going to grab one out of it. It's going to drop
Oh,
any other
I
duplicate.
get you. Okay, cheers. Thank you. Thanks.
You're welcome. Yeah. So that's how it works, because you use that one to pick all the keys, and you can read that data and it will grab only one instead of repeating it at the same time. And the effect of that is that will help you to increase the performance of the application. Imagine if I have thousands of these being repeated columns in your data. Oops. This repeated again and again and again and again. And you have to like read this data at the end of the day or do some transformation. That will have impact on the expected outputs, because you have to find a way to quickly discover that do we have a duplicate keys and the repeated values in this data. So using set will help you to, reduce the duplicates, and from there you can. I think I should have given an example, right? How do I do it? How do I do it? How do I do it? Okay, let's do something interesting. Maybe that will be clear enough. So let's say we have early name, adult. Let's say adult is repeated twice. Okay, let's say adult is repeated twice. Let me save this file again. So updated data. So we're using this one now. Where did I save it? I save it under my download. Oh, brilliant. So let's say we have this updated data. And now, based on the question you ask, let's go back to updated data. Okay. Let me upload this file, updated data, right? Brilliant. So we have updated data there, sitting where updated data. So let's copy this path. Okay, so in terms of picking the duplicates, so let me go to the bottom one. Let's say data frame underscore df. This is a variable name. It's panda pd dot read. We have a CSV, right? And our CSV is, this is the part that I copied. So we are reading this, right? If we do df underscore df and we print this, can you see LA name, LA code? Can you see middle age is repeated how many times? Twice, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yes.
let's say for K and V in df.items, print K. So here it's telling us, it's giving us option that, okay, it's being repeated like twice, okay?
Yeah.
So in this case, I think you can still, I think maybe because of this environment, you understand, it's trying to tag it as 1.1.2, you understand? Let's say in the real scenario, you have this and it's not tagged. Let's say, okay, let me do print I'm coming sets. Okay. So, it's printing down. Okay. In the column. Okay, let me just do a sets. Okay, it's doing something here. So sets. Okay, it's breaking it down. So that what I'm trying to do here is that, let's say list list of sets. Brilliant. List of sets. List. Okay. Let's do print df underscore column. Underscore. It's still giving me funny something, but anyway. So the column, the key, because it's already in list, rather. Sorry. Yeah, that makes sense now. Okay. 1 second. This. Oh, I understand now because it's already list. It's already in list. You remember when we loop? So it's already in list. So print this. Okay. So sorry. My bad. So let me do. Oh, that's good. df underscore df. Oh, brilliant. That's good. Let me copy this. So it's printing all the the values, right? So let's say we have list. So it's giving me some other information there which I'm not comfortable with. It's giving me some of the value, but that's how it works. But I think I would have loved to take my time to explain this better. But you can use that one to grab all the keys, right? Grab all the keys. But let me go back in 1 second. So we'll figure it out in a minute. So we have all our keys, right? Okay. Let me go back here. Or we can do, we don't actually need to bother ourselves. We can do for I in df underscore df columns, dot columns, and that's it. Let's print I. So this is I, right? So this I, we can convert it to, let's say, sets. Okay, sorry. Let's do it this way. I, let's create list I. List I equals to I for I in df.columns. List I. So if you see this one, this is going to create our lists. Let me do list underscore I now. List underscore I. Can you see in list, right? So this, we can now do sets underscore list, right? We're converting it now. We can now pass in sets, right? And do list I. Does that make sense now? And if we run, let me run set underscore lists. Can you see? The reason is because the file has been captured as .1. Does that make sense? It's been captured as .1, .2, .3, right? That's why it's not being transformed in this case. But if in a normal on a normal day, if this is repeated and you pass in that list, because we've created a list here, we pass in that list here, of which we saw it the other time. We pass it to that as a set. It will drop all the duplicate that we have here. It's going to drop all this, and drop. So from there, after dropping it, you can now go back to your data, right? After dropping it, you should be having okay. So you can, set list, you can turn it back to list after dropping, right? After it's dropped, you turn it to lists. Can you see the sign will change? And when it's turned to list, all the duplicates would have gone. All the duplicates that you have there. Does that make sense? So when it's gone, then you can use this one. You can now say, you can go back and say for, right? For, let's say for I in set underscore list, right? If K, okay, let's say for example, for I in set underscore list, if I in def underscore def dot columns, right? Then you can now say print def underscore def. Does that make sense? The meaning is that because here the def dot I. So in this case, that would have eliminated all the duplicate that you have there, because it would have dropped them and it's going to pick only one out of it. Does that make sense? So that's how to deal with with duplicates, and you can even see duplicates in your data, just like the example I gave. We can deal with that in data that way. Let's go to the next one, which is we've sort out sets. So we've covered how to drop duplicates using, we created a coded list, and we dropped all the duplicate from it, and we converted it back to list. We move from list to set and set back to list. In an interview question, you could be asked that, oh, when you have duplicates in your data, how do you deal with that? They're trying to tell you that they want to test your knowledge of sets. You now need to tell them that, okay, in this case, we go back to the data, check all the duplicates, convert it to set, drop all the duplicate, then return it back to list. Does that make sense?
Can you say that again, sir?
Okay, let me go back here. Remember, we have the duplicates here. How to deal with a duplicate in a data, let's say in a list. You grab this list, convert it to sets. Can you see? When you convert it to set, the duplicate is gone, right? And you can convert it back to lists. So let's say list, I can call this one list underscore set underscore this, and I'll pass in list in front to take it back to the original format, right? Without any duplicates. Is that understood? Can you see duplicate is gone here now? No duplicate, you can't see any duplicate here. It's disappeared. So you take it from list to set to drop duplicates, then convert it from set to list.
Set to list. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So we've covered a lot today. That's good. Let's go to the next part of the class, which is let me see, conditional statements. So I would give you an assignment, which I'll be expecting you to maybe submit in the course of the week. I'll try as much as possible to share this video. Do you have any outstanding video to be uploaded? I think we don't have, so I think we are okay. So I will try as much as possible to upload this video today. Yes. So today we'll be going through conditional statement. Conditional statement is very, very important when it comes to coding logic. It helps you to define your logic, the coding, how you want to read data, in fact, should I say, it's very, very, very important. There is no way you can do without conditional statements, for loop, all those parts. You need it in data. So we'll be dealing with conditional statements. For example, in our day-to-day activities, sometimes you might want to actually go out to maybe, enjoy the sun, right? Oh, okay, wow, we are in summer. Let's say in UK, we want to enjoy the summer, enjoy the sun. What do we do first? We check the temperature or the weather. rather. And let's say you're planning to visit your friend in the evening, or you're going to park in the evening. And if you, after checking the weather, and you discover that, oh, the temperature is going to drop, or the humidity is going to be very low, which means it's going to be very cold. What do you do next? You quickly say, okay, oh, shall I postpone this journey? You set a condition. If the weather is going to be cold, I would rather stay indoor. Otherwise, if it's going to be warm, I'm going to have fun with my friends. Or for example, let's say you planning to, go for, to play football with your friends, and the weather is getting cold. What do? And you've already checked that, tomorrow is going to be extremely cold, maybe -10 degrees. What do? You just say, okay, because it's cold, you can decide to go if it's okay for you, but by default, let's say in terms of programming, we set a condition for ourselves. It's going to be cold, then sorry, I won't be able to come because it's going to be cold. And if it's warm, it will be fun, to play. And you quickly join your friends and you play, because it's going to be warm today. And that's the condition. You set a condition for yourself. For example, another condition is that, okay, I would like to do exercise today, but if it's cold, I won't like to go out. If it's warm, I would like to go out, so I can sweat, and burn fats. So that's the condition in this case. You've got other examples. Before I continue, I would like to hear examples from everyone, maybe one person or two. Can you give me an example of conditional statement based on what I've already explained?
Okay, I could use an example like, say I've got a data set and I could write like a condition where it says if the title is more than 2, remove 1, but where it's just one title, do nothing.
Exactly. Thank you so much. That's a very good example. And when you explain that, I quickly recall myself. I was like, okay, I think I explained the condition here. Remember, I set a condition. I didn't even know that I've used conditional statement. Remember, if longitude is in key, right? I said delete, right? You see, this is a condition. The condition that if you see longitude here, because we want to delete longitude, if you see it here, then delete. Else, I can say else. But let's leave that one aside. So we'll continue. Let's start with if. So I apply there. That's the conditional statement. We set a condition. Thank you for that example. Sorry, what's your name again?
Constance.
Constance. Yeah, Constance, thank you for that good example.
Mm.
Yes, so we're making progress now. Now it's getting, we understand the condition, setting condition. And it's very, very important when it comes to data transformation. You'll be dealing with that a lot. You'll be writing conditional statements, for loop, and the rest as a data engineer. If you're working with Python. Also, it's not even only Python. If you're dealing with SQL, you'll be doing case. In the case of SQL, is case. Case when this is this, then, right? For those that have been working with SQL, so you'll be writing case statements. So case statement is also a conditional statement in Python. They are similar, but you use case in SQL, while you use if, else, why in Python. Is that clear? Does that make sense? So if you are familiar with case statements, I think you can use that one, use that knowledge, to understand how the Python aspects works. So that's it. So let's go on. In an example of a calculator where we have our divisor, if you are familiar with mathematics very well, anything divided by 0 is what? If you divide anything by 0 is 1?
Is 0.
Oh, okay. Let's see the answer. Anything divided by 0 is 1?
Undefined.
Undefined. Thank you. Yeah. Are you a mathematician?
No, I'm an accountant.
Now, so you do undefined, you do more of mathematics then. That's good. You know, it's undefined because well, so division by 0 in mathematics is undefined. It's infinity. It goes forever. It's just like you say, let's say, for example, you have 2 divided by, let's see the answer. 0.00000. This will give us result, right? This should give us results. Let's see our calculator. Let's use our calculator. So 2 divided by 0.0000001, and that will give us what? 2 billion, right? This is 2 million, and this is 2 billion. So
Yes.
imagine you have 2 divided by 0.0000000 forever. That means it's infinity. We can't count it. And that is that's the issue with 0 when you divide by 0. So in that case, we assume that we don't have any value for infinity. We can as well say set a condition to exclude that, or say if it's divided by 0, let's assume that the result should be maybe 0. It depends on depending on what we want to do. Or we say it's an error. Or we say it's an error. Error has occurred. So, and that brings us to this. So here we're saying that, okay, if our divisor is the denominator. You are familiar with denominator and numerator in mathematics. Denominator and numerator. Can you see? Is the part of a fraction that is below the line and indicates total number. So here the denominator is 4 because it's dividing 1, and the numerator is what? 1. The numerator is 1, the denominator is 4. So in this case, when you hear divisor is the denominator that is dividing, is the denominator, then the dividend is the numerator. So now we are trying to say that, okay, if this is not equal to 0, that means this is a real data. We're dealing with a real data which is not 0, based on what we've checked online, that if we divide anything by 0, it's going to be forever. Can you see? 1 is 1. Okay, so that one is not sure. Okay, so we've said that. So we're like, okay, we set a condition to avoid that error. We're now saying if divisor is not equal to 0, then we can divide this successfully. Now, I know this can be a bit confusing, but I will explain. For example, if you go to your ATM machine and you want to press button, it says insert the cash, insert the amount you want to, withdraw. You just press 1, 2, palm, and you press enter. So this is similar to that. That is what is happening behind the scene in your ATM machine. So you're trying to input a value, and so let's run this one out. So we just doing print statements here. We're inputting value, dividend, and divisor. And we're setting a condition if divisor is not equal to 0. And why we're doing this is to avoid any error, to say error has occurred. Now let's run it. Let's run this. Okay, brilliant. Can you see? So we're passing this one as a float, and the reason is, what if values that we are putting is dot? Let's say you want to withdraw money in bank. You can withdraw 15. Oh, okay, you cannot withdraw kobo or naira, or you understand. Let's say you want to withdraw £5, £5,000, or £500, £550. In this case, it's not applicable. Let's say your ATM can disburse like coins. You like to grab all those values in floats. So that's why we have floats. And it's very, very important for you to emphasize that, okay, What if you have your data not only in integer value, but in float? What do I mean by float is 2.01, 2.0, 2.3, 2.4. If it's 2, is okay, but what if it's 2.1? So in order to account for that, you pass in floats to grab anything in decimal. So let's say, for example, we have divide. So it's saying, please enter the first number to divide. Please enter the first number to divide, which is what? The numerator, right? First number to divide. Let's say we have 5.1. Please enter the second number to divide. Because what we're doing there, we're doing dividend divided by divisor, which is this will be the result. And we say, let's say we are saying 2, and that will give us answer, right? 5.1 divided by 2.0 is what? 2.5. Let's assume that I intentionally now decide to remove this. You will see it's going to fail. The reason is because this we assume that this is a string at a point, let's say, and it can fail. Let's say 5.1, 2, let's see if it's going to pass. Can you see it failed? Why? Because it's seeing them as what? A string. So let's say we now do int. Let's see what is going to happen. Int, passing int, and we run this, and we say, okay, 5.1 again. Why do you think we got that error?
Because it's not because integer is not a float, it's not a decimal.
Thank you so much. Thank you. That was why I said in case you need to capture, do it as float. So if I do 5 now, it's going to go through because it's an integer. It's not a float. If I do 2, it's going to go through and I'm going to get result. But because what if you have your value in decimal, 5.2356, that's going to fail. So in that case, we have to use floats.
Float.
Passing floats here. Passing float here. And when you pass in floats, now let's do it. 5.356 is gone through, even if it's 2.135. That's it. We get our result in decimal and it's calculated correctly. But now, let's say in the condition where we set our condition that if this is not equal to 0, that's if divisor. Now, let's see. Let's see if it's equal to 0. Remember, we've added, this is the condition in order to capture our data, and what we've already added, what we tried, fits into that condition. Let's say we have 5.21 and we have 0. Did we get any results? Why do you think we didn't get results?
Because it did not include the backup statement that if the first statement fails, what will the system do?
Thank you so much. That is the idea. We did not set a condition, a logic to capture if the divisor is equal to 0. We only focus on if the divisor is not 0. And that is where we have else statements. And that brings us to this next one. So we want to capture the other part that we didn't capture there. The code went successfully, right? It ran successfully, but there's a bug here because it didn't show us any results. We didn't get a result, but it stopped along the way. We're able to print this, but we didn't see results. That's a bug in your code. And how do we deal with that bug? That is the else statement for this one to capture it. So let's do that. 5.0 divided by 0. Can you see? It's saying cannot divide by 0. The meaning is that if divisor is not equal to 0, do this. Else, If it's equal to 0, say cannot divide by 0. In our case, the divisor is what? 0. That means it cannot divide by 0. Is that clear? Did you get that?
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
very clear.
clear.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so I don't want to make things complicated for you. So let's do a few other things here. We have
Sorry, sir.
okay.
We said if it is equals to 0, it should help me to go back. If
Okay.
if the divisor is 0, else, but what we put in is still 0, so you should be able to give us answer other than cannot divide, because we have set it like if it still equals to 0, so we are still within the range.
No, yeah. You know that because we know that it's not going to give us answer. That would be a bug. Already we know that anything that we divide by 0 is going to give you error in your calculator. If you
Okay.
go to your calculator, you see 5 divided by 0. What do you see? Cannot divide by 0, right?
Yeah.
So it's the same thing that we did here. Trying to tell us that, oh, this is the result. You cannot divide by 0. We set a condition to capture that. You see, what is happening in calculator, that's what we're doing here now. Cannot divide by 0. Sorry, if you are not talking, please try to mute your,
Sir, I have a question.
Okay. Yeah.
Does it mean that this exclamation mark and equal sign means not equal to 0?
Yes. This
Okay.
means not equals to 0.
Okay.
Yes.
So if divisor is not equal to 0, print the answer.
Yes.
Else, print cannot be divided by 0. Cannot
Exactly.
divide by 0. Yeah.
Yeah, that means the divisor is now equal to 0. Print this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any questions so far? Okay, let's go on. So let's try this one. I've set another condition here. I want to capture data from Monday to Friday. Oh, okay, no, not this one. Oh, yeah. Let's try this one. So here, I'm trying to print. I'm saying that, okay, if we pass in 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, I want it to be printed out. So let's do that. So let's say we are passing in 1. 1, say the value is 1. So I set a condition if value is, can you see, if the value is less than 0, print less than 0. Else, if value is 0, print 0. If value is 1, the value is 1. Let's run again. If value is -3, let's see the result. Can you see -3 less than what? 0. Then print done. So it's going to go through this one after the other and print. So you're setting a condition. Wherever we input, it's going to tell us what is happening. If it's too large, except S, print too large. The level of too large, yeah, you can define yourself. You understand? You can set the level of your too large. Else, if maybe value is greater than 1,000, you understand? You can say if else, you understand? You say else. Okay. So let's just say this one as this too large. So now that's how it works. Then let's say we're dealing with number of days. Number of days. We have set our days. Day number, we are passing it in here because it can't be in floats now. Number of days, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday cannot be 2.1, 2.2. So we assume that it's going to be between 0 to 7. Monday, Tuesday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. That's 7 days. So we have 7. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I've got a question. So this double equal sign, it means if it's 4 or equals to 4, then it should print Thursday. That's the meaning for the double equal sign, yeah?
Yes,
So
the
it's
double
is or equals. If it's equals to 4 or if it's plus, like, oh, I missed it now. If it's equals to 4 or, oh my God, no, I think I've lost it. I've lost it. Never mind. Thanks.
Okay, I will explain. Don't
If
worry. I
it's
think
4 or it's equals to 4,
Mhm.
then it's fine to print it out. If it's 4 or it's equals to 4, then it's allowed to print it out, yeah?
Yes. So you have equals, right? Is that what you're
Yes.
saying?
Yes.
So what this is doing is that when you are dealing with number in Python, to grab any number, numeric numbers, you use equal. Does that make sense? So,
Okay.
but to grab
Got
a
it.
string, if it's a string, you can use one equal sign. Is that clear?
Okay.
You
I get.
understand now?
Yeah.
So if you are
Yeah.
dealing with number that you want to calculate,
It has to
you
be
use
double
double.
equals.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if
Thank
it's a string, you
you.
use one single equal
Equal sign.
sign.
Okay. Cheers.
Yeah. So in this case, you see, we've already converted it to a numeric number, integer. So when we are reading it, we have to use this sign. So let's say, for example, I put 1, and to check 1, oh, that's Monday. Enter an integer 0, this, Monday. So, and if it's outside that the value that you have there, let's say we have 8. Let me put 8, which is not possible. It's going to tell me invalid day number because we already know we have 7 days in a week. And I improved the code a bit. This code, can you see it's a bit long, right? As a data engineer, you have to always think, but for a start, you write some code and later you start improving on it. It will still work, but we've got efficient way to, improve the code. So what I did here was instead of writing it one after the other, I created what? A dictionary. And I said the key is 1, the value is Monday. The key is 2, the value is what? Tuesday. Then what did I do? And I said if day number, that's the key, right? In day name. If day number, that's if what we have here, what we are passing here is inside our day name. And I now pass in day name, I pass in the key. So in this case, remember, let me run this now. Let's say 1. If I put 1 now, 1 is the key, right? You pass in 1 here, and 1 will grab the value, and you get Monday. Does that make sense? Remember what we covered in the first class. If I do 1 now, let's say 1. Can you see? Here you go. See key 1, Monday. Because we are saying that day number, our dictionary, remember key and value. And in this case, our key, we pass it to day underscore name, and we pass in 1, and we'll get our value, right? If we pass in 1 here. Does that make sense? Because we are passing in 1 as input here, and we've already said if 1 that we are passing, if it's inside here as a key, right? Then pass it inside there, then you grab Monday. Is that clear? Okay, let's do it this way. Let's go back. Let's go back. Let me print.
Sir, can you put 3 and let's see what was it to print, please?
Okay, 3. Let's print 3. So what do you think will be printed?
Everything up
Wednesday.
to 3.
It should print
Wednesday. It should be Wednesday. So
1,
it's
2, yeah.
Wednesday, because we've already set 3 as Wednesday here,
Okay, yeah.
4 as Thursday, Friday. So it's like we're improving on this. We improved this code, but we now created it in dictionary so that we can read it this way. This one and this one are both giving you same results. Does that make sense? This is just an improved version of this. So as a data engineer, what you have to be thinking every time is how to improve your what? Code. So by improving your code, maybe the code should take like maybe 7 minutes. While you improve it and you modify it, it could take the runtime could reduce to even 1 minute, from 7 minutes to what? 1 minute. So you are improving the performance of your application. That's what they call code quality. Does that make sense? Okay. Let's go on. Here, I think day number, day name, I pass in 7 here. Oh, so I changed this to Sunday, right? Remember how to pass in another key and value? Here, our key is 7 and it's Sunday. Here, I want to pass in another key, which is Sunday. I've changed that. And if we run through this key and value, is changed to what? Sunday. If we go back to this code, I think now, if we go back to this code, let me click on 7. Let's see if it's going to work. Okay, Sunday. If I run this code here, after this, if I run this code here, which I think might change to Sunday. Let's see, 7. Okay, it's not changing because we're still referring back to this. We're still referring back to this day name. Okay, now that makes sense. Okay, let me take this off intentionally. So let me run. I'll run this. Let's say 7 Sunday. Okay. I've updated the Sunday and I'm doing this. Let me do 7 now. Did you see Sunday? The reason is that we edited the dictionary here using this key. We pass in the key and we change the value. Remember the key and value here. Remember when we pass in key, we pass in the name and we change what? The value. Can you remember this?
Yes.
Good. That's what I just did here. So I pass in the key and I change the value from Sunday to Sunday. And after running this, I pass in 7 and it has changed to Sunday. Can you see how you can play around data? So I can decide to say this one is Sunday, Monday now. If I do this one, let's see what we have. 7, Sunday, Monday. So I'm editing wherever we have in the dictionary by passing in the key and I'm changing the value. You can play around a lot of things in your data. You know, in some cases, let's say in your real data, right? You want to remove the let's say for example now, how will I explain now? I think I explained the other time. Let's say you have this. When you look through this data by key and you check, you pass in the key, you can look through your rows, right? And check what you don't want in the data. Let's say you have 3,000 here. This 3,000, and let's say you don't want this 3,000 and you want it to be replaced by 200, right? You can do for item, for key and value in this data frame.items, right? So, and you can now do that if, remember, don't forget, I talk about key and value. Value is the rows, right? The rows. It's going to go through one after the other. So you can now say if 300 is in row, right? If 300 in value, rather. If 300 in value, right? Or you can have a list. You can create another list of values. The if 300 in value, then you pass in the value here. You can now say if 300 in value. In that value, put the key here and put the new value. You have to specify the key that you want to edit. So if this is this, replace it. So it's going to go check that particular the key, and wherever you have to, it's going to replace it directly. Okay, let's go on. I don't want to complicate things. Now, let's go on to this. So we have mark. Let's say these are mark. 83, 75, 74.9, and this. We want to check the type of mark. Is a list. Can you see? Because this is a list. If you want to check the type of something passing type in front of it to tell you if it's a set, if it's a list, if it's a dictionary, or if it's a tuple. So you do that. So in this case, we're creating we're creating a dictionary. We're creating a list mark. We want to assign if it's a first class, if it's a second class, if it's a class lower, if it's third class, or whatever. So we created an empty list, and we looping through this one after the other for 83 in marks, for 75 in this list, for 74. If we see that in this list, that's what this is doing. I explained the last time. If mark is greater than 75, remember we didn't put string here, right? Assuming that we put string here, duplication, we have converted this from numeric to string. So in that case, wherever you have here, right? Wherever you have here, you have to convert it to int as much as possible. You have to convert wherever you have as mark here. If you have this as string, you have to convert it to integer and you pass in the value for you to read it. Otherwise, because we have this one as integer, because there is no string around it, so we are okay. So we can read this data. So for mark in this int, so I don't need this int here for now. In 75, in this list, append first class. So if he sees this, if he sees anything greater than 75, append it as first class. If you go, then the next one, if it's 70, between 70, if it's less than or equal to 70, and it's less than 75, append second class. Else, another condition, append second class lower. Other condition, append this. And when you append, then print the result. And let's see what we have. Oops, okay, there's a mistake here because of that. Now, we have our results here after appending, and we can create this one in form of key and value. So we pass in the values here, and we pass in the other one here. Remember, grade list, we've created a list here, a new list, which is different from mark. So we have two lists, one here, another one. So this list is capturing the elements in integer or numbers or mark, and this one is capturing them based on the category. So we're doing marks, and we are passing this in. And if we run that, and we have this, and this one, you can, after passing, you can create it, you can turn it to a pandas data frame. Just do pd.pandas and this, and you have your results. Can you see? Does that make sense? So it's now categorizing that as 83 as first class, 75 as first class, 74.9 as second class upper, 60 as second class lower, 68 second class lower, and 0 probation. Is that clear? So in this case, we can even download it. We can download it in CSV file. So can you see? I can download in CSV file. CSV file here. If I go here, what's the, okay, output grade, good. So let's download our file and let's see our results. Can you see? Key and what? Value. Key and value. Remember, key and value. Values. And if you compare it to what I've been explaining, you will see it's so straightforward for you to understand that key, marks, value here, right? Key, grade list, value in dictionary. Can you see? We pass in the dictionary to our pandas data frame, and we're able to get our data frame. We can also do it for, wherever we've covered in the past also. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Any questions so far?
Are you going to give us assignment on this?
I'm going to give you assignments.
On this particular thing you taught us, this one.
Yes, I will do that.
Okay.
Okay. So we've covered condition, we set the condition if, else. We've covered if, else, and else if. You can see we've got more conditions listed here. If, else, if, this, and that. So we've covered that. The next thing we need to do now is we go to loop and iteration. I think I should be able to cover all these things. We'll focus on other topics next. Okay, so we'll be covering, oh, we've got 2 people. Yeah. So we'll be covering another part. So I'll try and see if I can actually cover this part quickly so that I'll give you assignments. Then I will ensure that I upload the file, this video today, and then send a CSV file across to you. Please feel free to ask questions, please, before I continue. If it's something I can answer, I will answer. Okay, let's continue. So we're going to go to loop and iteration. Loop and iteration. We started covering that, even while I was explaining dictionary, we've already covered loop. So loop will help you to automate process. Instead of reading data one after the other, you use for loop for this in this, for this in this, and that will help you to quickly get tasks done and make your code very, very efficient. Remember, I talked about if statement, else, conditional statement, and for loop, while loop, and the rest. They are all important when it comes to data engineering space. They are very, very important. You have to master them very, very well. And please try and see how you can expand your perspective in terms of, if you, like, for example, if you are good in math, you could maybe expand your logic reasoning, and that will help you to scale up in this space of data analysis and engineering. So loop and iteration, I'll be covering loop and iteration now. So we have, for this in this, I've given an example of that. For this in this, like this list, I can say for this in this, then list all of them. I've covered that. I've been covering that. I've given an example here. Let me see. Can you see for? This is the loop. For KV in items, that's for loop. For key this, for loop. So I've covered a lot about for loop, and yeah, I've covered a lot. For I in range, I've covered that. So I think you should be comfortable while covering this aspect of for loop. So loop and iteration. So in this case, we're creating a range. Yes, I remember I covered range at a point, the beginning of the class, when I was talking about lists, and I said this will give us 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. In this case, so we have list here, lists. Okay, let's see what we have. So let's say, for example, this list, we want to loop through it. We can say for SOM class in list. So let me use SOM in list, right? Print SOM. Please, it's just a name. Don't, it's a variable name. We're using this to capture wherever we have. Oh, so for the mistakes.
I think it won't work because of the
LST.
way you spelled the list.
LST list.
Thank you for spotting that. That's true. For SOM in list, it will work. Thank you. We have gurus in the house, You're able to spot that error. That's good. So can you see, I'm able to list what we have in the list. For 5 in list, for 4 in list. So it's listing them one after the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I remember I told you, if you want to capture a list, I explained that you can use list comprehension. I think I explained that in one of the examples there, which is good. So you can do, let's say, for example, you don't want to write a code like this. Most of the time when you're using list comprehension, it is an improvement to your code. So for example, I want to grab, so list comprehension is bringing you back to this. So it's like you can do LST let's say LST. I can do I'll put a list across I. So in this case, I'm using I in lists. So I don't need to use print anymore. So if I do this one, it's similar to writing the statements. And if I run this now, can you see? And I can do LST_LST underscore LST. And can you see, similar to this? So this is what they call list compression. List compression. 1 second. Is that clear? So now let's go on to this range.
Sorry. Okay.
Yeah,
Just a quick question here. At what point would I need to do this? Because if I look at this, it looks like it's just a lot of statements written in here when I can just get my results using the first details where I could just do what you done the first time. With this one now, it's like you've written so much statements. So at what point would I need to do this in the real world if I have to work?
I love that question. I love that question. In the real world, you'll be using more of this. I've been talking about improved version of a code. Remember when I explained this? I explained that you're improving the code here, where we have Sunday, Monday, right? I changed this. The same thing is applicable to this. When you are using list compression. List compression is an improved version of what you are doing for I in I, you understand? In this case, now if I want to look through this one, I can do for I in LST, right? And I'll be doing this print I, right? But in list compression, you have reduced this. Can you see? You have reduced it to just one line. And you can pass this in to another function to use.
Yeah, but okay. Why I was looking at this one, the first statement you've written here, for anyone just coming into coding, this will be easier for them to understand.
Yes.
But if I'm trying to if I'm just fresh into it and you train me these bits, I'll be like, oh my God, what's going on here? But with this one, I think it'll be easier for anyone to understand what you've written here compared to these bits here. So that's why I was just a bit curious, like in the real world, say if I'm working in an environment, what statement is being used in the real world? That's where that's how I was just a bit curious.
Yeah, thank you. You can use this and you can also use this. But when you are now an experienced Python developer or data engineer or data developer, you see yourself using this more. So there's no problem using this in your code if you are starting, because when you are developing code, it's going to work. It's still going to perform the same function. Don't forget, when you are writing code, you have people that will review your code, right? Like, for example, now, if you write a code as a Python, as a data engineer now, and I have to review your code as a senior developer, I will go through this. I can point this out to you that why can't you just go for this? Because what we are trying to target is to ensure code quality and performance. This will work, but if I use this one, this will speed things up. So if the processing level of this is 20, this might reduce it to 2. Am I making sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. It does make sense. But it just seems a bit complicated, to be fair. Like for a starter, this would be a bit too complicated, if you get what I mean. Like the second coding that you've written here, or the first one, it's just like, I look at this, then I don't need you to explain so much. I already understand what you've written in the first one. Then the down one here, I'll be like, forget what I mean. So I'm looking really hard to understand what you're trying to explain here.
Yeah, exactly.
Can I say something?
Yeah, continue.
Am I right to think that the last way you wrote it makes it easier to be reused in
Thank you.
coding?
I love that word. That is the right word to use. it's more easier to be reused. You can pass this to any function that you have. I can, now that I've created this one now, I can pass this to another function that I'm creating entirely. That's why I said is a way of you are improving the way you're writing code. But one thing is that it's not that this is wrong, but this is okay, you will get your result. But what if you are building applications that, like you say is for people that are more advanced? Yeah, which is good. I agree with you. But in the case, now that you know this one very well, you've been practicing, I will advise you start learning more about list comprehension. List comprehension is very, very important. I think I will be giving you as part of assignment also. Yeah, so it's very, very important. List comprehension will help you to do a lot of things faster. But it's okay if you know this one, it's still going to give you the same result, which is perfect. Okay, so let's go on.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks, Constance, for pointing that out, so that people will not run away. And they get scared. Say, what's this?
Yeah.
Yes, so now we move to range. We move to this other path, here, which is, let's say range. I think I cover range. And if we click on this, let's do Jamie underscore list. Can you see? Remember when I covered range under data structure, I explained that it starts from 0 to 9, and you can count it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I even used slicing to explain this, that if you have 0 to 9 to 2, I explained the slicing, right? 0 to 10 is not going to count 10. It's going to start at 9 and 2-step, right? 2-step, 0, 2, 4, 6, 8. Did I explain this? If you remember.
Yes.
Yeah. I explained this very well.
You did. Yes.
Yeah. You remember this? And I said end, begin, and end, and step, right? Begin, end, and step. If you go back to this template, that should give us. Hey, good. Can you see? Begin, end. Yeah. So I covered this range. Can you see? I covered it here. So I think you are okay. Can you see range, begin, end, and step? So we in this case now we want to read this data, but this is similar to passing 0, 1, so it's not necessary to put 0. So we can remove that one and grab this. So sometimes I've used this in my code while developing application. I mean, for data engineering, transforming data. Like I wanted to grab data. I wanted to grab columns in my data. So I had to use this. So I've got almost 1,000 columns in my data, 1,000 columns. I'm telling you, and I didn't know how to figure that out. So what did I do? I just pass in 1,000 here. And that printed this out for me. You understand? And I did it automatically, and I used that to capture columns in my data. You understand? So let's say, for example, you have 1,000 columns. I will create this one. Then after creating this one, let me delete this one. Then that column, let's say this is our data frame. Remember data frame.columns, right? Data frame.columns here. So I can use this one now to capture all the columns one after the other. So I can pass in 1 second. So I can do this one and go for, let's say, for high in Jamie list, right? Jamie underscore list, right? For I in Jamie underscore list. For I in Jamie underscore list. Okay, 1 second. Let's say this is, let's say,
Don't forget your I.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. So let's say for I in Jamie underscore list. For I, sorry, thank you. So I can pass in I right here, right? Can you see? So this will help me. I would have loved to give an example. Oh, okay. This is brilliant. Our CSV file. Let's go back to our CSV file. Let's say DD equals to. I like to give real life examples so that you understand what we're doing. I don't want to be CSV. Okay. Okay, brilliant. Okay, brilliant. Let's use this one as an example. Output upgraded. Is it upgraded now? Okay, let's use this one, the file that we downloaded. So DD, let's say for I. So this is DD columns. So let's say for Jamie that we are dealing with is 2 in this case, 2. Remember? Okay. Great. Can you see? Can you see the high, right? So what we just did here is that instead of us calling the column itself, you know, we are not seeing the column here, right? If you notice, we can't see the column. So what we are trying to do here is that we are passing 0, 1, and 2. So let me do print I. Print I, right? Now you understand what I'm saying. You know, I pass in I here. So can you see? I equals to 0, I equals to what? 1. So what it's trying to do is that it's checking the position of this file. Now, okay, I think it will make sense to you if I do it this way. Let me go to the next
I think
one.
to make sense if you download the table, so we see the table, so as extracting it, we are seeing exactly what you're doing.
Exactly, that's what I want to do. That's why I copy it that way. Now you
Cheers,
see,
thank you. Cool.
did you see Mark and grade list, right? Mark and grade list. So now what I'm trying to do is that I'm using that range to capture 0 because this is index 0, right? Index what? 1. So from what I did here, I pass in 2, and this range will give me what? What will it give me? If I print Jamie, right? Jamie underscore lists. If I print Jamie underscore list directly, let's see what I have. Print Jamie underscore list. What do I have? 0 and what? Can you see? Jamie underscore list, we have 0 and 1. And I printed in that Jamie list, I have 0 and 1. So I pass in 0 to pick the first key, 0, 1 to pick the second key without calling the name. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does.
Did you see now? So you can apply this, and this is very important. Okay, let me give you an example. Let's say you have data coming in as, let's say we have this data being sent to you as a data engineer every day. Marks, grade lists, and sometimes maybe in the course of the week, you have another column coming in, and the column is called another name. And you always see that is the last column, always the last column. And you want to grab the column. You understand? You want to know when it's, maybe if it's going to be 2 this week, if it's going to be 3 this week, if it's going to be 4 this week. And how do you play around that one? Let's say you have captured the range, right? You have captured the range. Or you could also say, instead of using this directly, you could actually add length. We can capture the length here. Let's see. Length of, I think I explained length, right? I explained last time. I remember. Length of this. Length of, explain length. Let's assume that we've already, okay, yeah, that's fine. Let me undo, comment that out. Let me do print, right? Let's run this. Can you see length? Why do we have this length as 2? Can someone explain? Why do we have two?
Because there are just two columns there in the
Two columns. I love that question. So it means we can set a condition. What if files that you are getting changes every week? Maybe sometimes it will come as 3 columns. It will come as 2 columns. You can set a condition, right? You can say if length, right, dot column is greater than what? 2, right? Then you can say you should delete the rest of the columns. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but what if now we want to add those columns? We don't want to delete them. So should we just say where if the columns is more than 2, greater than 2, don't delete or something. So we leave it that way because there could be a situation where now we want to see a new insight of something. We want that column to be there.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. I love that question, but you have to understand the logic that you are using. The logic is, number one, we have data coming as 2 columns. Number 2, we have data coming as 3 columns. What do you want to do with the data? Do you want to collate them together or you want to separate them? You see the question?
Okay.
Yes. So that will give back to the next thing, the logic you have to apply. Let's say, for example, I don't need the last column. I will use this method to say if this column, if the data is this, right, is greater than 2 in terms of column, if we add additional columns here, then what I will do is that I will select only, you understand, I can do df equals to what? dd dot columns, right? And I will say, okay, I don't want the second one, the third one, I will just pick what? 2. Did you see that? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I can pick one out of it. And 1 second, let me do print df. So 1 second. Okay, see, in this case, it's picking the 2, 0, 1. So now, in that case, you can play around your data, you understand, to do a lot of things by setting a condition. So if it's greater than 2, right, set a condition to drop maybe the column, right? And when you do that, if it's less than 2, capture the data directly. So like if it's less than, you can say if it's greater than 2, do this. Else, right? Else statements. Else, what do you do next? Just do maybe dd, or dd, right? Let's say df, right, equals to dd dot what? Copy. You remember the copy, right? And when you do that, in this case, you might want to append the data together because you've already removed the first one, you've already removed the extra columns, right? Second one, you've copied the real data. And what do? You append. And you can create empty list here, maybe new df equals to this. And you just do append n edf underscore df dot what? Append. You pass in df. And that will exclude, so you have a new data frame afresh because you've already used this one to remove what? The additional column. Can you see? That's if you are combining them together. In the case that you are not combining them together, you have to save them separately. Capture this one, find a way to do, if this is this, you don't need to append, just do write to CSV and give it a name so that it can be stored in a separate folders, right? Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
So that's why I say different scenarios, a different way to undo it. So that's that.
So I've got a question, but it's not related to this one. I'm just trying to think about the logic here.
Okay.
So I tend to load data. So basically, so we have data where we have like communications from customers.
Yep.
We import them into CRM. So
Yeah.
we use Dynamics 365. So when we import those data, we have we have account supporters and we have contacts. And so I done something sometime 2 weeks ago. I imported those data, but in the process, I had about 6,000 plus supporters that failed. And I was just a bit curious why they failed. So I couldn't extract data because it was a bit too much. So I had to send an email, but someone was able to like extract those data. And when I asked her, she said she done it through SQL. So I was just a bit curious, like I couldn't find out from the person directly, but I'm just wondering because that's one of the reasons why I done this class, because I was just wanting to learn how to be able to resolve issues like that in the future. Like in that situation, what code would you think that she done to be able to extract that data? Because she had to go on SQL to be able to extract that failed data set. And I was able to now re-import them. So I was just wondering what code she had written to get that information.
Are you
If
pulling
that makes
data from
sense.
database?
Yes, so I was trying to upload the data into the database,
Okay.
but in the process, about 6,000 plus failed. And when I tried to download those 6,000 plus, it only downloaded about 5,000. So about 1,000 plus could not download.
Okay.
So I had to send an email, and someone was able to extract those data. So during our investigation, we found out that those supporters were account supporters. So that's the reason why we're not able to. They didn't go into the database. So my question was, how was she able to, like, what code do you think she must have written to be able to extract those 6,000 plus supporters that failed? I'm just curious, like, just because maybe in the future, if that happens, how do I go about doing it? That's what I'm just thinking.
To be honest, I don't have idea. It depends on where the data is coming from. Like you said, it's coming from CSV, right? Or from a
Yes,
database?
yes.
Or is it coming from database directly or from a CSV file?
So what happens is we extract the data from the database, then we send communications to customers.
Okay.
So when
Directly.
yes, so we send communications to customers directly. So basically, the information we're importing back into the database is trying to find out how many support customers participated in the communication that we sent out.
Okay.
So now I've gotten the communication, like I've gotten the data, the CSV file telling me how many people participated in the communication that was sent out. So I need to upload it back into Dynamics, into the database. So in the process of uploading it into the database, I noticed about 6,000 plus failed. It didn't go into the database. So I was going to try and like download that file to see why those 6,000 plus did not go into the database. But I couldn't do it from my own end. I was only able to download about 5,000.
Okay. Did you
So
send the file directly to the person, or he or she got it from the database?
I didn't do nothing. I just basically just sent her a screenshot of my system to say, look, I was trying to upload this, like I'd uploaded this, but this failed. It's like, what could she advise for me to do? So she called me and said, okay, she would be able to extract it from she would use SQL to extract the failed data. But I was just a bit curious, like how was she able to do it? Because the uploading was on CRM, but she was able to extract this data from SQL. And
Seriously, I don't know how to answer that question.
okay, that's
To be
okay.
honest, it's because it's, to be honest, if I'm in that position that I understand the system itself, how it works, that would give me idea. Okay, maybe he or she was able to put the data somehow from a particular database or try to get a link. Then so the person might have maybe done something behind the scene, either using other programming language, Python, because Python can handle very difficult data, that easily. Some data you won't be able to manage with SQL, but in order to make things more easier, you just use Python to pull data. You can use Python to pull data from database also. You can pull it
Okay, so
from.
that means you need to have all those skill sets to be able to be great in your job then, from what it
Yes.
looks like.
Exactly. It's very, very important, especially Python. For example, if you are in country error or wherever you can't transform data, just use Python. Python will do everything for you. All those complicated mathematical calculation, use it to transform. There are some limitations to SQL, and which Python is there to handle. But they work hand in hand, yes.
Okay, so that means you really need to know Python as well for you to be a good data analyst then.
Yes, you need Python along the way. It doesn't mean that you're not a good data analyst if you are not used to Python, but that will give you edge where you're working. Because I've seen in the project where people are not familiar with Python, some were dealing with SQL. I was dealing with SQL and Python together. I was doing the two together, while some were doing Python only. Some were not good in SQL. Some were, it depends. They are both useful, but one thing is that Python helps you to be very, very efficient. Yeah. So that's it. So, but
Yeah, because I'm a data analyst, but I don't use SQL, I don't use Python, I only use Excel and CRM. So when I tell them I'm a data analyst, they're like, how are you a data analyst when you don't use Python, you don't use SQL? So you get what I mean?
yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
It will give you edge a lot with SQL and Python. And now if you get used to cloud also, cloud will just make you to be on fire. I'm telling you, it is very, very, very important. So yeah.
Which cloud are you talking about?
You can use it like AWS, Azure
Okay.
Environment, GCP,
Contact to
Alibaba, and the rest.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Constance, what's the
Yeah.
job title of the person that helped you out in the end?
Was a product owner, CRM product owner.
So I'm
Okay,
going to stop this recording. Sorry.